Hello everyone and welcome back to Minimalist Gourmet, where today I'll be teaching you how to make the classic Venezuelan street food, Arepas de Reina Pepiada. If you've never had this before, this is a corn cake stuffed with a creamy chicken and avocado salad. So let's go ahead and get started. First up, we're going to cook our chicken. 2 whole chicken breasts will make 3 full entree portions or 4 portions if you're making it with the side. Pour in just enough water to cover your chicken breast completely and add 2 whole cloves of garlic. Crush up 1 chicken bouillon cube here for salt as well as flavor, and then add 1 teaspoon of ground cumin to the pot. Over medium to medium-high heat, bring this up to a simmer and allow it to cook for 15 minutes, which will give us just enough time to make our arepa dough. For your arepa dough, you're going to need some corn flour. Now this brand, Pan or Masa Arepa, are available in almost every major grocery store I've been to. You can choose white or yellow corn, both will work perfectly fine. The important part here is that it is pre-cooked or pre-cocida. In a bowl or a small pot, add 1 cup of your arepa corn flour. To this, add 1 teaspoon of salt and then make sure to give everything a thorough mixing here before we add the liquid. Now when it comes to adding the liquid, we're going to start by adding a little at a time. Overall, we're going to add about a cup or cup and a quarter, but we need to go ahead and see how much our dough will actually absorb. So go ahead and pour in about half a cup of water, mix it around, add a little more, mix it around, and continue on until that first cup of water is completely absorbed. From there, we'll go ahead and decide how much we need to add, depending on how moist the dough is. After 1 cup of water, you can see what it looks like here, and I have my reserved quarter cup of water in the background. Now I'm just going to keep adding a little bit more here until I can work with my hands. You're looking to have a nice cohesive dough that will stick together on its own and isn't too sticky, so don't overhydrate. Your finished dough product should look a little bit like this. Notice how it sticks together and is moldable and isn't really sticking to my hands too much. This is great. So we're going to go ahead and let this sit for 5 minutes so that dough can completely hydrate. The chicken breasts finished cooking a few minutes ago, so I pulled those off onto a plate and I'm letting them come down to room temperature. Now while those are cooling, I'm going to go ahead and cook my arepas. We're going to begin by adding just a little bit of oil to the bottom of a pan. If you have cast iron, it works great, but any pot will work that's nice and flat and wide. Allow your pan to completely preheat over medium heat while we form our arepa patties. Now, when making these arepa patties, I have divided it into 3 portions here because I was making 3 very large portions for a main entree without any sides. If you're going to serve this with something, you can absolutely make 4 arepas with this recipe that would work great and be quite filling. Begin by rolling the dough between your hands and making a ball. Now simply press the dough between your palms here, rotating each time you squeeze to make a nice flat little disc. Now, when making these, I like to go for something that's just about the size of my palm. It's about that big for reference and about that thick. Now this makes a really nice main entree portion. You can certainly make them bigger or smaller if you'd like. However, this works really well to cut them open and stuff. And for thickness here, you can see my finger for reference. Cook these arepas on their first side for about 6 to 9 minutes. Not a whole lot's going to happen and it won't make much noise. While we're cooking our arepas, we'll begin working on our filling. The first thing we need to do is shred the chicken. This is quite easily done with a couple of forks. Just go ahead and work your way through until it's nice and shredded into bite-sized pieces. And it's been about 8 minutes here, so I'm going to go ahead and flip my arepas. You're looking for a nice golden brown crust all over that surface, and this looks good. Additionally, the surface is going to thicken up and harden up quite a lot, so you should be able to tap it and feel a nice firm surface all the way across. To my shredded chicken, I like to add about 3 or 4 nice good tablespoons of the reserved cooking liquid that we cook these in. This is going to add a bit of salt, make them a bit more moist and juicy, as well as a nice punch of flavor. So go ahead and pour that over the top here and mix it in. You don't want it to be sopping wet, but a little bit goes a long way. And after about 8 more minutes here on the second side, let's go ahead and check our arepas. We're just going to flip them over here, tap the top here with the spatula and our finger to make sure that everything is set up nicely and firm, and it is. So we're going to go ahead and pull these off. Don't worry, they will stay nice and hot for quite some time while we finish the rest of our filling. Transfer your chicken into a pot or a bowl big enough that will allow you to mix up and add some more ingredients, because we are going to add a nice large ripe avocado. If you're using a Hass avocado, you might need to use more than one, but this again is up to you and your tastes. Go ahead and scoop out the very ripe avocado and add it to your chicken. Now using a fork, just go around swashing the avocado and mixing it into the chicken very thoroughly. With your avocado completely smashed and integrated, we're going to add between a quarter and a half a cup of mayonnaise. Again, this is totally based on your preference, and you can add as much or as little as you like to make it as creamy as you desire. Don't forget to add just a little touch of salt here as well so that everything is seasoned thoroughly. If you're like me and you have a picky eater in the house, you can stop now. I'm going to pull off half of this chicken mixture for my wife and set it aside while I finish the rest of the recipe for myself. Now, I like to go ahead and finish this with all the flavors here, which is going to include the juice of half a lime as well as a chopped bunch of cilantro. Go ahead and toss this in and mix thoroughly. Check for seasonings and make any adjustments at this point. You can also add more avocado or mayonnaise if you desire. Let's go to assembly. Now, the first thing we need to do is cut open our arepas. The easiest way to do this is to stick your knife here right in the center and work your way across. Now, notice how I'm only sticking the knife about 3/4 of the way toward the back of this arepa. You want to work your way across here, rotating to open up and make a pocket like you would for pita bread. Take your knife here and cut open so you're just here at the edge, but you do not want to cut it open the entire way. This back half here should stay completely intact and look a lot like a clamshell. Because you have that back edge still connected, you won't have everything falling out of the back as you take a bite. This is actually quite helpful. So with our pocket opened up nice and wide, we're going to go ahead and start packing in our filling and be very, very generous. This is just the basic filling here that I made for my wife, so there's no cilantro or lime in it. Again, if you have a picky eater, this is a great way to kind of make 2 dinners without actually making 2 dinners. We have our basic recipe here without cilantro or lime in case you have any picky eaters in the house. By the way, this is naturally 100% gluten-free and works fantastically if you want to take it as a lunch for the next day. And let's go ahead and assemble our second arepa that has the cilantro and lime in the filling. Just as before, you cut it as a clamshell and go ahead and stuff it very generously, full of our topping. And guys, it is just that easy to make this delicious dish at home tonight. I highly recommend you try it. If you've never tried this before, it really is delicious, super easy to make, and can help expand out your cooking options for tonight. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again here real soon on Minimalist Gourmet.